Hello and welcome back to Pushing Technology to the Limit. Today I want to talk about HD everywhere. And what am I talking about? Well, everything has HD, whether it's your TV set, your computer, and maybe your computer doesn't have HDMI out. But today I'm going to help you do an upgrade, because I am upgrading my computer system right now as we speak. So, I have used HDMI quite a bit. Even though that my computers haven't really been equipped with HDMI, I've still used it. Now here on the table in front of me, I have parts that are, you should have, and some are just optional. So let me get to the parts and I'll show you what I am upgrading in my room down here. So here on my table, I have a bunch of parts that you should get. And like I said, some of them you don't need, but some of them are must-have if your computer is not equipped with HDMI. And let me show you some of the parts now with what I've got up close. So here's an HDMI converter. So it has on the back the VGA port and the RCA jacks. Now this one I picked personally because I like the RCA cable. Now if you're like, well, I can't put that into my sound card on my computer. Well, yes you can. Let me show you the other parts that you need to do. And I don't know if I showed you the front, it's a little bit hard to see from my end here, but there's the power and the HDMI out. You can get a cable like this, which has the RCA cable, and it converts it to a 1/8 jack for your sound card in your computer. I've used a lot of these for my computers. Now, for most computers these days, they come with a DVI port. That's digital video interface. Now, in the past, I've used this kind of a jack, or an adapter. So it's a DVI to VGA. Now I am not using these anymore because I'm switching to HDMI. So I've gotten this one here, like I showed you, and I've used them on both ways. I've used them coming out of the computer, and I've used them on my LCD monitors. And so just say if you're you got a monitor that's too old to convert to HDMI. Now you can get one of these. Now I've got a bunch of them and I use them a lot, and I prefer that. But now it's time to switch from these, and I bought this one brand new because I have a couple of monitors that would not have the DVI port on the back of it to be able to plug the HDMI in. So like I said, this is the DVI to HDMI. And yes, it's a little bit hard to see everything here, but sorry about that. The lighting's kind of poor. The other thing that you want to might be interested in looking at is I've got one of these what they call HDMI audio extractors. So what this does is, so like most monitors, and I'm just saying most because some of the new monitors now that are either LCD or LED, a lot of them now are LED, don't have speakers, but there are some special, I can't say special, but multimedia monitors that come with HDMI and DVI and VGA, which I don't have those, and I'm not going to get them. And I don't like the speakers built into these monitors, whether it's the VGA monitor, because I do have a VGA monitor that has a speaker attachment. It's not built into the monitor, but it's just an accessory. So what you do with this is that you plug your source in. It's a little bit hard here to see it because it's kind of poor. But this is your input, and this is your audio selector. So you got your, and I'll read it off because it's hard to see, but it's pass, Then there's the 2 channel and the 5.1 channel. Then on the back of this, you have your RCA jacks, your HDMI out, and you also have the digital, which is hard to see, but my finger's right on that. Now, I highly recommend this if you want to use external speakers. I mean, if your computer system is in a remote location, this is a must-have, and I have never had a problem with one of these. And the other thing that you might want to consider, if you plan on using your HDMI in multiple rooms, whether it's a display monitor for, I don't know what you want to say. Some people are in for business and they want to use a display monitor in their sales room. I've got one of these HDMI splitters, and I don't think it amplifies. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But that way I can output to multiple monitors, which I need this for my setup. So let me show you the computer system I have. I'm actually working on it, repairing it. But I'm going to show you the parts if you are brand new to HD video and the HDMI technology. Most people are used to that by now. But there are a few that may not have even installed their TV set or their computer system. They've hired somebody to install your computer for you. So you're going to kind of wonder what I'm all talking about. Well, when I'm talking about DVI, that's digital video interface. And as far as I know, that does not come with any audio. So if you hook up one of your TV sets to it, it's not going to have audio. That's why I recommend the HDMI audio converter, and which sends your VGA to HDMI, because then you can plug your sound card in and get your audio and video all on one cable. So it's here one of the computers I'm working on, and like I said, this has the VGA, the HDMI, and the DVI. So you can plug your VGA converter into this port and make it HDMI. And I recommend using these two ports, the VGA and the DVI, because I found that the HDMI port, now it differs on some cards. I'm not saying all of them do this, but I've never had very good success with good video on the HDMI output of these video cards. Now this one is a replacement video card, and this one seems to be a little bit better. I can't recall what the brand is off the bat, but I'm thinking about using the HDMI port and then using the DVI. So I'm going to use those two. But we'll see how good the video is, really. I mean, I haven't really fully tested it out yet to see if it's a good quality or not. But like I've said, in times past, they've been just poor quality video. I mean, it was just kind of pixely. I mean, I mean, it'd be hard to tell, but if you have an eye for crisp video, then you'd be able to tell. As you can see, I've got all this equipment dangling from my ceiling. This is all my video extenders, amplifiers, distributors. So the things that I'm going to be replacing today is this box right here with the VGA ports on it. And some of these converters that switch them from VGA to HDMI, I won't need. I'll need some of them, but not as many as I've got up here now. And let me show you some of the other computers I've got with the ports on it. So here's an older computer, and it's a very good computer, but the video card is quite old. It does have DVI, and I have one of those adapters plugged in to make HDMI out of it. But on the left hand side, it's a little bit hard to see, but it has the S video out. So it does have an old style video out, which I'm not going to use it, and I've never have used it. I've always used the DVI and VGA ports. Now some of your computers might not have them at all, except for VGA. Now I've got this computer here, which just has a built-in video card. And actually, you can see the one on the left too is the same exact way. They both have VGA. Now this is where the VGA to HDMI converters come in really handy for some computers that do not have HDMI or DVI at all. And these two don't. Now I forgot to mention one thing that I have on my table that I forgot to show you. You can buy a HDMI switch. Now the switch allows you to switch between 1 and 4 or 2 devices or even 5 devices. Now the reason why I bought this particular switch, and I'll get to that in a minute, is because it does auto select. Now the one I've got right now that I'm going to be putting in, I have no idea if it works because it was a cheap switch. It doesn't even come with a DC power supply. I was disappointed because they didn't tell me that on Amazon when I bought it. But we'll see if it works. I can always buy, and I do have a USB 5-volt power adapter that I can just plug into the wall. And so if you're looking forward to, switching multiple systems, and I'm not going to be switching multiple systems, I have a plan to, and I have no idea why this does it, but my one system I use for video editing, it works, but the Windows now has, and the other thing I forgot to mention is that it also has a built-in video card, which is not bad, but it also is kind of a pain in the neck because it doesn't display, the BIOS, which is when you turn on whether it's Dell or Asus, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's ASUS, and if I'm pronouncing it wrong, sorry folks, but I cannot configure this thing with the video card I'm using because it won't display. For some reason, it's the internal video card that's built in acts like the master, and the other video card that I have that's in there that I use all the time, that's a 1 gigabyte memory. Just starts up when Windows finally loads, so it can go to Windows XP or Vista or 7, and it finally, once it gets into the operating system where you actually can click on start and different things like that, you can finally see that it's actually working. But I've actually had problems with this computer, and I couldn't tell what the heck was going on with it because I could not see what the boot up was doing. So that's the whole point of this switch that I'm installing, is so that I can actually have it temporarily come on, and then once Windows loads and I can get to my my computer and my documents, it'll switch over to that screen afterwards. So let me show you that box now. So here is the HDMI switch. It has 5 in and 1 out. Now, like I said, this was cheap, and just by looking at it, it looks cheap. And maybe you can't tell by looking at it on the video, but it just is. Trust me. So even on this thing, it doesn't have any IR for the infrared remote. You actually have to plug in an IR sensor, and then there's your 5-volt power in, and there's some more inputs and all that, and then there's your selector right here, so you can actually select it manually. Now, if you're going to start off with HDMI and you haven't had your computer upgraded so it will be HDMI, it's going to be quite costly at first. But since I've had this installed for a while now, I just had to change a few components, and then I'm all set. So all I have to do is just plug in the switches and the video splitter, and I'm all set to go. And everything else is HDMI anyhow, and my TV equipment, my computer equipment for the most part is HDMI. As if you watched past videos of my setup, you would know that this is just a control room, and I run my computer system elsewhere in the house. And this is just to keep it cool down here. And then I can switch from, so like say like for those that like to do online streaming or online gaming for that matter, and you want to run it on your big screen TV. Well, you would have to unplug your monitor and plug in your TV. Well, that causes an issue because your computer has to reboot if you don't have anything plugged into that port. And I'm not sure about the newer ones that are out today, but the ones that I have to reboot the system because the video card, the computer doesn't detect that there's actually something in the video. I don't understand it, why it just doesn't plug in and play when the thing is running. Now, I can always have things plugged in, unplug it, and plug something else in, and it works just fine. But just having one empty port and then plugging something in doesn't work. So, I'm hoping that this will make it easier for you folks to upgrade your computer without having to do a lot of cable swapping. And all you have to do is just switch your input on your TV set or your monitor, for that example, because I have a lot of just monitors kicking around that I just use, but there's no sound. And like I've said before, you want the HDMI audio extractor, which I'll say $32. That's what I paid for them. I looked on them on Amazon just a couple days ago, and they're still there for $32. So, but prices can go up and go down, and something else can come out. But I recommend getting the ones that have power supplies in them. And I hope that this video has helped you out with deciding what you want to do with your HD setup. Now, I'm going to have fun because I'm going to be able to run my computer system, and any computer system for that matter, on my TV set, and I can watch a video or play video games, which I'm not a video game player, but I do like to watch videos on the internet. So, I hope this helps you out, and I'll see you the next time on Pushing Technology to the Limit. Please tell all your friends and family about this channel if this has helped you out. Have a great day.